Start here in just a couple of seconds.
In his third season from Alabama, number 0, Jahmyr Gibbs.
All right, what's happening, everyone? It looks like we've got some audio that's somehow hit my PC. I want to make sure I get this corrected here before Dan Campbell joins, which he's joining right now. So let me just get this fixed real quick, and then we'll get rolling. We're gonna cover Dan Campbell's press conference today, and then I also want to cover. I do want to cover my Sam Laporta. It's going to be a video for later, but for those that join the live today, I'm going to go ahead and get this done today with you guys. But why Sam Laporta is so important to this offense, and really what it means to have him back and to have a guy like Drew Petzing, there's our offensive coordinator. It's going to be such a significant difference from what we've seen year to year. And I'm super excited about it. So I dug in a little bit on Sam Laporta. I went through a lot of Drew Petzing's play calls, play sheet last year, and watched some film. And what I came away with is super interesting. Super interesting. So let me just make this adjustment real quick. And then we're going to get into Dan, because I want to make sure you can even hear Dan before I turn it on. There we go. There's the problem. I see it now. I was doing some editing work and I changed everything. I forgot to change it back. Okay, quick reset so I can make sure that it works, and then here we go.
In his third season from Alabama, number 0, Jahmyr Gibbs.
All right, Dan Campbell, let's break down the presser. What's he got to say to us today?
I was fortunate to be able to, Holly and I went and was able to go to the induction of, went down there for Drew Brees, just to be able to, see the induction, be there as part of it. And all of those guys, it's a reminder, it was refreshing, just to be able to stand, in the presence of greatness with those guys. Roger Craig, man, it's about time, that he got in. What a blessing. So, and Kuechly and Fitzy and, all of them, man. It's just Vinatieri. So, it's one of those moments that, it's a reminder as to, why you do what you do, what you love about the game, your teammates. It was special. So, man, I congratulate all those guys. That was very cool. On another note, Teddy Bridgewater is going to step away. So, I've known Teddy a long time.
I freaking called it. I knew it.
The human being is unbelievable. Certainly the player. Everything that he's about, the type of teammate he is, the way he prepares, always played the game up here and had a huge heart. He's going to be missed. So I'll never forget 2019 when Drew got injured. We had just gone out to the Rams, got beat out there, and Drew, got his thumb, and we lost him for 5 weeks. And Teddy stepped in. We won 5 in a row, man. And that was Teddy. And then just his time being with us meant a lot, and it meant a lot to our guys. So he's going to be missed. We have a number of other guys that are, we got bumps and bruises like everybody, so we'll have a lot of guys out, but that's kind of where we're at. So we'll get out there today and move around a little bit, be about an hour and a half, and go from there. Questions?
Just before we go on, just another word about Teddy. First, is this retirement for good, do you think, for him? And second, what did he mean to you, personally? I know he said he stayed in contact with you all throughout, even when he, took that first year away. So the bond that you two had. Yeah,
I think only he can truly answer that, but I feel like this is where it's at for sure right now. This is where it needs to be, and where he felt, and his biggest worry was letting us down. That's the type of guy he is, and he's not. That's as far as it can get. So it's been a lot.
Man, Dan shook up right here.
Organization's aspirations, Dan. Do you need to add veteran depth to that room, or do you feel confident, comfortable with how Luke is progressing, that he can be a capable backup for the squad?
We're going to add somebody. We like Luke. Luke is growing. Luke is getting better. He just needs reps, he needs 1 million reps. But the reps that he has gotten to this point, he has improved, and so we like him. But we are going to add somebody, and we'd like to add a veteran quarterback. We're hoping maybe something happens tomorrow. We'll see. But yeah, that's the plan.
Ate a lot of reps, Altmaier, over the last couple of days when Teddy was out. Just what did you see from him in those 2 days as he kind of got the advanced workload there?
Yeah, you were still talking about Altmaier, right? Yeah, I thought he did some really good things. He was put in some really tough positions for a young player that you absolutely have to be put in. You just do. You got to be thrust in it, and really you need to fail. You need to make mistakes so that you can grow. And we thought he handled it really well. We did, and there were some things. We had to delay a game. There was a couple of misreads. But man, that's part of growth. But it's what you feel like right now. We'll know a lot more when we get in the games. Is it doesn't feel too big to him right now, and that's a great sign at that position. So we'll see. He's got a long way to go, and he just needs 1 million reps.
Coach, you talk about growth. It's tough for quarterbacks to grow, from year to year. But Jared Goff has been one of the guys who's been able to grow. Have you saw any growth with him? This summer going into this upcoming season, or anything different?
Man, I'm sorry. Say that again. My mind is like, I'm sorry. Keep going.
No, it's tough for quarterbacks, especially older in their careers, to continue to grow. And we saw Jared Goff from year to year, grow. Have you saw anything, from last year, this summer, going into the season that he's maybe grown from, or what have you saw from Goff?
I think the biggest thing for Goff is, he's taken his game to such a level right now that, I feel like he's in this man. He's up there. I mean, he's up there. And now what I feel is, all right, here's my game. His game's good. It's damn good. It's the mentality, the urgency, the leadership, hey man, let's go. We cannot accept anything less than the best. He wants to be the best in the league, and he wants to run the best offense in the league. And to get there, we got to go. We don't have time. That's where I really feel him growing. And every year I've felt more of an urgency out of him in that regard, more command, more leadership, more. And that has to come organically. It can't be forced on somebody. It can't. And so that's great to see out of him.
Yeah, with Gibbs able to do so many things, and now Montgomery's not here, is there a fine line between giving him everything he can do, impactful, but not overdoing it?
I think that'll always be there, but I mean, we're going to push him. We're going to push him because we think this kid can be one of the best. if not the best. So we're going to push him to get there. You know, we're going to see what he's got now. I'm glad we got Pacheco, and he's going to very much be a part of what we have. But we need to see where we can take Gibbs now. We've only scratched the surface of him.
Injury front, Dan. We haven't seen Ben Barch take part in any team stuff yet. Obviously not on PUP, but is he where you kind of expected him to be in his progression when you signed him, and where does he kind of fit into some of this competition, maybe at the left guard spot?
Yeah, look, I'd be lying to you if I said I wasn't hopeful he would have been out there more than now. But I also know there's no setbacks, anything like that. And he's a veteran guy, you know, from what we know about him and the short time we've been around him, you know, he's a guy that, you know, it means something to him. He's smart. He's conscientious, all those things. And we're going to get him out there a little bit today. You know, we're hoping we get him about 10 reps maybe, somewhere in there. So that's the plan, is to begin to work him into some more stuff. So, look, there's a reason he's here. We think he brings outstanding competition. He's got a shot, but certainly he's behind the mark, right? I mean, he's missed some days, and that's just part of coming off an injury. You know, that's the hand you're dealt.
Veterans we haven't seen, just a couple other veterans we haven't seen in a minute. Peyton Turner, update on him.
Yeah, nothing new, really. I mean, he's got a back that, you know, we're just trying to get to calm down, and, you know, that's a day-to-day type thing. Yeah, Reed, that's not a major thing. You know, his is really more kind of groin, and so that's not a major issue. You know, we feel good about that. When he's ready, he'll be ready to go.
Considering you got a game Thursday, quarterback-wise, if you get a guy tomorrow to go out to play, or does this mean Goff is going to play Thursday?
No, I don't see Goff playing. Even if we didn't have a quarterback, Goff's not playing. We'll just roll out. Give me a name. You know what? We'll put Tom Kennedy at quarterback. We'll do that in a heartbeat. He'll run the whole show for the game. But no. So I don't see Goff playing. You know, certainly Altmaier's going to take a heavy load, and then anybody else we'll get them up to speed as fast as we can and give them some reps.
I was just going to ask you what KB asked about how soon you start looking at, thinking at, talking about planning for Cincinnati.
Yeah, we already have. I really don't see playing a lot of our guys. We'll play some of them. We'll play some of our guys that are in these, you know, we got some competitions going on at spots, but you know, you asked about Goff. I don't see Goff playing. You know, and we'll kind of gauge it as we go here. I think more of mine is the questions will be coming next week when we start getting into the Washington week, because that was kind of where I always targeted. Like, all right, this may be where we need to play our guys. That'll be the first one. It's kind of where I was thinking. Okay.
All right, we're going to shift right into Teddy Bridgewater breaking news here.
Middle caught inside the 5. Jahmyr Gibbs to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. 14 yards on the strike. Goff to Gibbs. You can't cover that man one-on-one. You just can't do it.
Nice job.
Jared takes the snap, back looking, throwing middle. Got Amon-Ra inside the 2, to the 1, to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. Amon-Ra, St. Brown. Amon-Ra, St. Brown.
Nice job.
Mariota's got it back. Pressure comes. He's hit. Slips out of it. Rolling to his right. Now he's going down. Brian Branch got him. Sack for the Lions. Snap taken by Mariota. Wants to throw it. Gonna get hit. Gonna get sacked.
Yes,
Take it down. Brian Branch got him second time today.
Nice job.
Pressured by Hutchinson, he goes down again.
We just learned a few moments ago that Teddy Bridgewater, quarterback for the Detroit Lions, has just announced through Dan Campbell that he is going to be stepping away from the team, retiring. It's something that, I can't say that I expected, but earlier this offseason, I mentioned I did not see Teddy Bridgewater making it all the way to the season. I felt like he was going to turn into a coach, that it just wasn't going to work out for Teddy B. I thought it was a bad decision by Dan and Brad to bring him in. Now, Teddy is a wealth of knowledge. He's an amazing, quarterback, mind speaker, if you will, with Jared Goff and others. He's an amazing individual. He does incredible work in the locker room. But this unexpected change at the quarterback position right now is a huge shakeup for the Detroit Lions. Going into the season now with a undrafted rookie quarterback as your backup, does this mean that Teddy is not going to stay with the team at all? We don't know. We have no idea. I do know this, that if Teddy B wants to be a coach in the NFL and he decides to stay with the Lions as a coach or some sort of a consultant, he will not be able to play football this entire season. He wouldn't be able to come back at least until next season after the new league year once that role changes. Same thing for like Dan Skipper, Sean Hamilton, when those players made that decision to retire or go into a coaching role, they are barred from playing football in the NFL for at least one whole season. Now, again, head coach Dan Campbell, today's press conference, mentioned that the veteran quarterback, Teddy Bridgewater, will be retiring, stepping away from the team, and quoted Dan as saying that Teddy Bridgewater may have felt that he was letting the team down. And Dan doesn't feel that way. Dan is visibly shaken up. Obviously, the relationship between Teddy Bridgewater and Dan Campbell is tight, and this is not something that they expected. Obviously, this season they probably wouldn't have brought him in. Dan Campbell's exact quote was, "Teddy Bridgewater is going to be stepping away. Huge heart. He's going to be missed." And that was really about it. It was really tough for him to answer some questions. The Lions haven't really announced yet a specific reason. Dan Campbell, like I said, mentioned, maybe Teddy felt like he was letting the team down. And in this big decision here on a Sunday afternoon at 12:45 today, it's a decision that's going to rock the team. We have the Bengals up in just a few days, and we have one quarterback because Dan mentioned that under no certain terms is Jared Goff going to be playing in the preseason game. Now, as you remember, Teddy B's 33 years old, right? He's gone into coaching in the high school level for a couple of seasons, came back, was kind of an intermediate player in the NFL with the Lions. He went, to another team last year at some point and then, came back, which was, scheduled to be his 12th season this year, third stint with the Lions. And he entered camp with 83 career games. And it's that kind of knowledge and that kind of experience that you just can't do without, honestly. I mean, he may not be the player that he once was. 65 starts, almost 16,000 yards passing, 75 touchdown passes, used to be a highly mobile dual threat quarterback. He's not that quarterback anymore. But what he is he's an extremely intelligent quarterback and a great individual and a great leader. And regardless of my personal opinions or choices on backup quarterbacks, it may not have been Teddy, but I still respect the heck out of him. Now, what's up for Luke Altmaier? How are the Lions going to deal with this? Because now Altmaier has been suddenly moved into a larger role behind Jared Goff, and after receiving some additional training camp reps throughout, this absence for Teddy B this week, I guess Dan Campbell feels like the plans are to add another quarterback. I don't even know who's available at this point. Haven't had a chance to look, and we'll be taking a look this afternoon, so expect a second video to come out. But right now, Teddy B walking away from Detroit. And who knows what's next for Teddy B and the Detroit Lions. We'll find out more as this story develops. Well, good luck for Teddy B, man. Appreciate you. And now it's on Luke, man. Luke, you got to go out there and do the damn thing. All right, thank you for joining this video here with Rock Down Detroit Lions. Up next, Stick around. We're going to break down Dan Campbell's press conference as well as jump into Sam Laporta.
In his third season from Alabama, number 0, Jahmyr Gibbs.
Okay, so as promised today, I wanted to break down Dan Campbell's press conference. But before that, I've got to get the chat open and see what y'all are talking about because, man, this is some crazy news today, some unexpected news today. And I'm just curious what y'all are feeling, man. How you feeling about it? What are your thoughts? Where do the Lions go next? You know, how do they fix this? Who's even available? Does anybody even know who's available? Because I certainly don't. Haven't looked. No clue. No clue. As soon as I can get this chat to move, we'd be all set. It won't move. Changed up my my OBS, and now this chat is. There we go. Now we're good. Garoppolo. Oh, please not. Carson Wentz is already on another team. Last I knew, I think Russell Wilson is still retired. I'm good on that too. Like I'm all set. I mean, Russell's a good dude, but I mean, we've seen his decline. I'm just spitballing here. Who else is available? Who else? Why don't we take a look? Let me dig in here. Give me just 1 second to get a couple of things up here. Man, what a shocker. What an absolute shocker today. Now, I was kind of out of it the last couple of days or so. Lions had a day off. We did Friday. I think we did Friday. Did we do Friday? I don't even remember now. See, I've just been out of it the last couple of days. And I didn't even notice that Teddy B was missing in action, basically, right? I had no idea that he was absent, and I totally missed the update from Ian Rappaport, because had I would have known that, you know me, I would have jumped in and tried to find something on what was going on. But I missed it, and I didn't see any messages come through. I apologize if I missed them. And of course, we can never really fully trust like what Spotrac says or any of these other sources, which I'm not going to have everything at my disposal rate this second. But those sites are usually off. As to who's available and who's not. But I'm going to get it up here. All right. So as far as quarterbacks here that are supposedly available, all available. Here we go. Yeah, not a whole lot. There's only like 5 or 6 that are being reported by Spotrac. Oh, this is not good at all. They might have to make a trade. All I see is Russell Wilson, Jimmy G, John Wolford, Brett Ripien, and Jeff Driscoll. There has to be more. There has to be more than that. One second here. I'm trying to download this video too. Oh. There we go. Now we're all set. All right, what do you guys find in anything? So UFL, yeah. I mean, good luck in the UFL. We need someone that is available. Yeah, Cousins right now, he's a starter for the Raiders. Like I don't expect him to be available. I can't imagine that he was being totally serious about TK85, but yeah, what about Isaac Tesla? All right, he was a quarterback in high school. Right? Oh God, please no, not Will Levis. Please not. Hendon Hooker, oh no. Could you imagine if Hendon Hooker came back and was better? Could you imagine what some fans would say then? Or I could just see it all now. You know that. I could see it. I could just see what they're saying. Who else is available? I'm going to start looking at like some second and third string options on. I'll pull up some rosters here. I'm just trying to get this video up here, and then we'll get rolling. Let it do its thing. Usually don't do this a whole lot, but when we got breaking news now, I have to be able to get this stuff out and be diligent with my efforts here because the algorithm's not spinning, man. Need your help. So I don't ask a whole lot like I'm going to say in a little bit, but need your help with the likes, the comments, sharing, subscribing, of course. I always do my part. At least I seem to think so. And if you don't think I do, then let me know. But I always deliver, man. I always deliver the information. I think I go a lot deeper than what most people do. And I've earned a lot of respect from y'all for doing that, for sticking to the plan. But I do need your help. Like, we got to get more involved. We got to get more engagement. I took a lot of time off. That always hurts a channel. So this year we just got to hammer it. We got to hammer it. And I got to do my part, which I always will. I'm not seeing anything. I legit don't see anybody that is necessarily available without a trade. And so now, we just signed Jahmyr Gibbs. And, I mean, the Lions will, they will have some available cap space. The question is, who can they get in either on a trade or on a free agent? And right now, I think trade's the answer. I think if you really want to have a competitive second quarterback, I think you almost have to do a trade. What are you guys willing to give up to bring in a quarterback, and who's the quarterback? All right, now that that's all done, here's what I'm looking at for free agents. You got all these guys that are signed. Again, Spotrac has only given out five available quarterbacks. So now I'm going to look at all the depth charts. I'll put it up on the screen here in just a second. All right, here we go. I love our lads, man. I can get all the depth charts for every team all on one sheet. I wish I didn't screw with my whole setup because now I got to figure out where I put it. All right, here we go. Might have to adjust it, but here we go. Let's start going through all these. We'll figure it out. We'll figure out who's available. Obviously, I'm going to have to dig into this later on this afternoon and figure out what the cost is going to be, for some of these guys. I'm not thinking that there's going to be a free agent that makes a lot of sense, but that they're going to find somebody. The question is it going to be the right answer? And I doubt it, at least initially. I hope so, but more now than ever, we are preying on Jared Goff's health this season. Like we cannot have Jared Goff go down at all with this situation. And not that we could have before, because I feel like if Jared Goff goes down, then the season's pretty much over anyway. All right, so we're starting with Arizona Cardinals. Well, they haven't been very, very good at all this year so far, based on their practice. They have Jacoby Brissett, Gardner Minshew, and Carson Beck. Carson Beck. Let me go one more. They also have Keaton Slovis. I don't know who the hell that is. I don't know why this just got all screwed up. Come on. All right, Cardinals. I'm fixing it. Give me one sec. I'm fixing it. All right, Atlanta Falcons. They have Michael Penix, Tua Tagovailoa, Cooper Rush. Who's the third guy? Fourth guy? Jack Strand. How about Cooper Rush? You think that they could make a trade for Cooper Rush, the third quarterback for Atlanta? I'd be cool with that. I think Cooper Rush is an opportunity. Go back one more. Now I don't have to do any moving around. There we go. All right, so let's put Cooper Rush in the bucket. You guys good with Cooper Rush? What is that? Google has a good result. I use search terms. Ali McNeil's salary, $97 million over 4. I don't understand what you're saying there, buddy. Did they just sign Rush? Oh, well, that sucks. So he's not going anywhere. All right, how about Baltimore Ravens? You have Lamar Jackson, Tyler Huntley, Joe Fagnano, and Skylar Thompson. Ugh. Nobody there. Buffalo Bills. And quite honestly, you're probably looking at the third or even the fourth availability on these teams. If somehow, right, if you get an opportunity to trade, I mean, there's Kyle Allen, like he knows this system. He's with the Bills as their number 2. So there's Kyle Allen. I mean, I guess I wouldn't close the door on bringing back someone that's familiar. All right, Carolina. You have Bryce Young, Kenny Pickett. Yeah, I'm good on Carolina's quarterbacks. We're moving right along. We know it ain't happening with Chicago. How about Cincinnati? Joe Flacco, Joe Burrow, Josh Johnson, Sean Clifford. Josh Johnson might not be a bad opportunity. And again, I don't know all the injury things going on here. Cam Ward Cam Ward is terrible. Cam Ward is not that great. Why would we bring in Cam Ward? Like he was just a first round pick. And you've got to be joking, right? You've got to be joking. Tyrod Taylor, I mean, he's a decent backup. He's a decent backup. All right, so again, in Cincinnati, I don't really see anything happening here other than Josh Johnson, and I actually kind of like that. You know, the one guy that I always wanted for a backup plays, I think, for the Texans. Let me zip down to Houston. Davis Mills. Davis Mills. I would love to see the Lions pull off a trade for that. Davis Mills. I think he would be a phenomenal backup quarterback. He can absolutely win you some football games. So you'd have to pull off a trade, but what's he worth? You know, he was a third-round pick in 2021. A fifth-round pick maybe in next year's draft? But knowing that the Lions are strapped, the price is going to go up. If the Lions are looking at pulling off a trade, the price is going to go up. It always does. It always does, man. Supply and demand. All right, so Tyrod Taylor, he's in Green Bay as their number 2, so I highly doubt that would happen. I don't like their other two, Kyle McCord, Kyron Drones. I mean, there's just nothing there for me. All right, Denver. Jarrett Stidham, Sam Ehlinger. Well, Sam Ehlinger is actually not half bad. Dallas probably won't happen, but who do they have? Joe Milton and Sam Howell. There's Sam Howell. Sam Howell might actually be a pretty decent backup. Now, again, we're not looking for a guy to be a starter, but I think Sam Howell probably makes that short list. How about in Cleveland? Don't they have like 15 quarterbacks? How about Gabriel Dillon or Dylan Gabriel? Who's their fourth and fifth? Let's see. Deshaun Watson, Dylan Gabriel, Talon. There's Talon Green. I know that Eric liked Talon Green, in this year's draft. But again, we need someone that has experience. And I would say that Dylan Gabriel, and hell no to Deshaun Watson, but Dylan Gabriel makes a lot of sense. 1 year experience, good backup, and you're not going to get nothing better than that. But as Dan said, they want a vet. They want a vet. So I think when you look at a vet, you need someone with at least 4 years of experience that has played a little bit in the league. And maybe they want an even older vet. So Josh Johnson makes, like, what year was he brought in? What year was he brought in? He was unrestricted free agent, 312. Where's his NFL experience? 14 years. So there you go. He has a ton of experience. He's the third quarterback in Cincinnati. I think that's probably a good option. Josh Johnson. And again, Davis Mills, he's been in the league now for 5 seasons. So he makes great sense. Let's keep on going. Indianapolis Colts, who do they have? Anthony Richardson, Sean Easton. Anthony Richardson, Riley Leonard. I wouldn't be opposed. To Anthony Richardson, but I just think he's a China doll, man. He gets too injured. What does Jacksonville have? Trevor Lawrence, Nick Mullins, Carter Bradley, and then Joey Aguilar. I like Nick Mullins as an option. 8 years experience. I would say that's probably going to cost a pretty penny. It'll probably be like a third-round pick. Man, the Lions having to waste a pick right now if they have to would be just tragic right now. What about Justin Fields? You want to make a trade with Kansas City for Justin Fields? You good with that one? You might want to go look at Davis Mills, J-Rod. He's a damn good football player, man. He was tearing it up last year and I think the year before. Let's take a look at his record. So in 2025, he had 5 TDs to 1 interception. That's a great interception to TD ratio. 57% completion percentage is not great. 915 yards. When did he get in? Like 4 games last year? So he's had some real-world experience over the last couple of seasons. He's still young enough to develop. And he has that real NFL experience in a pretty sophisticated offense down in Houston. Man, that took forever to load. Here's his regular season stats so far. 2025, he was 91 of 159, 57.2. He's a 61.8 career completion percentage, which is not terrible. Remember, Jared Goff was, 66.8 last year? I think 66.8 last year. He has 7,000 yards in the league, man. I mean, that's some work, yo. Like, we need some work. 40 TDs to 26 interceptions tells me he doesn't make the greatest decisions all the time. You got to remember, too, when these backup quarterbacks are getting put into a game, like, they're getting put into a game in bad situations. You know, quarterback just goes down. You could be losing the game. You're not really expected to do a whole lot. You're given a vanilla playbook. So when I evaluate a backup, I kind of look at it the exact opposite as I would, you know, as I would for a starter, because they're not really given a great opportunity to succeed. Now, by the third, fourth, if they're expected to play the rest of the year and they have 8-9 games in front of them, I would say by the 4th game, they should have developed a lot faster. That's 4 weeks of time that they've spent learning the number one offense, getting acclimated to the number one offense. It's like having a complete, well, not a complete, but it's like having a training camp underneath your belt during the season. The difference is you don't have all the reps, you don't have all the installation that you would during training camp. Now, if you were there for training camp, then you've already gone through it. So now you just need to acclimate, right? And I think that's more meaningful. I think to a backup quarterback, obviously having some real experience and recent experience. All right, let's take a look here at the Chargers. You got Herbert, Trey Lance, and I don't even know who that guy is. But you guys have known that I've been in the Trey Lance, I guess fan bucket, if you will. If the Lions wanted to make a trade for Trey Lance, I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think that the Chargers are going to give up their number 2 at all. Why would they? I mean, Trey Lance can win you football games. And he was winning some football games, a couple years ago. And when he was asked to play, I believe it was with the 49ers, he got in several games. I know he's not someone that you want to allow, as a starter, but as a backup, he's a capable backup. Completion percentage absolutely sucks. But on this type of a team, in this system, I think he can definitely compete, and I think he can play. Last year is 27 of 57. I mean, just dog shit completion percentage, 47.8. Didn't throw any TDs, had 1 interception. But his career is not that much better either. 54% completion percentage, 1,289 yards. He doesn't have as much experience as I guess you would think. He's been in the league since 2021 and just hasn't played a whole lot. But he's been, in games every year. I'm still all for it. I think Davis Mills is the better option, at least right now. And again, that's going to require a trade with the Texans. Let's move on to the next team. The Rams, man, they got a slew of quarterbacks down there. And if Brad Holmes has, good relations with these guys, You know, there could be a trade with the Rams. Let's see who they have here. They have. Hold on. Where did the quarterbacks just go? Oh, up one. There we go. Obviously, they have Stafford, Stetson Bennett, Ty Simpson, and Matthew Caldwell. So you can forget about the last two, and I don't even think that Stetson Bennett would make any sense because of his history. I don't think he fits Detroit. And the rest of their guys are young. Raiders, they have Kirk Cousins, Fernando Mendoza. All right, there's Aiden O'Connell. All right, I like the Aiden O'Connell option. Wasn't O'Connell with the Lions at one point? Or am I thinking of a different name? I think I'm thinking of a different name. He's been with the Raiders the whole time. He has some experience there. 11 games in 23, 9 in 24, 1 last year. You know, has not worked into a starting position, but his completion percentage is better. His decision making is okay. His TD to interception ratio is not the greatest, but he has real world experience. He has a good arm. And he has prototypical size, man, 6'3", 206. So all those things are working in his favor. What's not working in his favor is that he just hasn't had a lot of experience. But again, we're kind of at the mercy of the court, right? We need somebody. So who do we have so far? I should probably have been writing these names down. If anyone's keeping record of the names that I'm throwing out there, throw it in the chat. We have Aiden O'Connell, Davis Mills, Josh Johnson. Who else are you guys throwing up? Trey Lance. Come on, give me your top 2 or 3. Give me your top 2 or 3 in the chat. Lions will sign a bum in free agency. Well, free agency's over, and they don't have a choice. They could trade. It would make sense to make a trade if they can find someone that makes sense. But you see, the Lions are in a situation where they need a camp quarterback. They need someone to throw the football to their team. They don't want to burn Jared Goff's arm out. So now you're going to get more out of probably Mike Kafka and the other so-called quarterbacks that used to be quarterbacks having to throw the football now in practice. So they need an arm. At a minimum, they need an arm. But yeah, free agency's over. So if you're talking about signing a free agent, the list on Spotrac is 5 players. That's why I don't think it's very accurate. But this is 26, all teams, quarterback, all types of free agents. You have Russell Wilson, Jimmy G, John Wolford, Brent Ripien, and Jeff Driscoll. I would say out of all of these players, the one that makes the most sense is Jimmy G, simply because he has prototypical size, has an arm, has a ton of experience. He's not a great quarterback. But that would be the only free agent that I see on that list that makes the most sense. I don't want him, but that probably means the Lions will go out and get him just because he is a free agent, right? So what we're looking at here is what teams have a lot of quarterbacks where you could see a trade for their second or third quarterback, most likely their third, and what would it cost you? A lot of these would probably cost you 5th, 6th, 7th round pick, depending on the name, depending on their experience. All right, we already looked at the Raiders. How about the Dolphins? They have Malik Willis, Quinn Ewers, and Cam Miller. Yep, good there. Vikings, they're not giving anything up. J.J. McCarthy, Carson Wentz, Max Brosmer. Okay, so here's the thing with these guys. I really the other day I said that I believe that Carson Wentz has an opportunity to play because J.J. McCarthy hasn't been working out, and Kyler Murray has also struggled. I don't think that they're going to want to give up Carson Wentz. But Carson Wentz would absolutely be the player that you would want on your team right now. Experience, can play at a high level, used to be able to play at a high level. And I think he would be the right locker room fit. I think he would have the right intelligence. I think he'd be great for Jared Goff. But will the Minnesota Vikings give up their quarterback that they feel probably has an opportunity to play this year too? Ugh, I doubt it. I doubt it. That's right, Nick. We do have Malik Cunningham. Absolutely. We still have Malik Cunningham. Yep, Robbie, still have Malik Cunningham. We brought him in last year before the Ravens game. We brought him in to be the look team quarterback to simulate what Lamar Jackson would do on the field. And he just stuck. And now he's been working as a receiver, and he actually looks pretty good the day that I was out there at camp. I think I missed a day at camp already. I had tickets for it, and I didn't go. I'm at least going to go to the 19th. So, yeah, we still have an arm. So there's another arm in camp with Malik Cunningham. And then TK85, like Dan said, I don't know if he's being for real or if he's just being funny, but maybe TK85 can throw the football. All right, I got to take a brief break. I got to figure out what's going on in my video.
Throwing middle, caught inside the 5. Jahmyr Gibbs to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. 14 yards on the strike. Goff to Gibbs. You can't cover that man one-on-one. You just can't do it.
Nice job.
Man, I had that thing published a long time ago, and it did not.
Jared takes the snap back.
It didn't go.
Middle, got Amon-Ra inside the 2.
All right, anyway, we're back. I don't know what happened. I published that thing 20 minutes ago, and it didn't go. Some days I just hate YouTube. All right. So we have arms, but do we have capable backups, right? That's a great question that we need to answer. I don't think we have anybody on the Patriots team that we'd be looking for. I think that Carson Wentz from the Vikings would make a lot of sense. But again, I think they're going to be hard-pressed to give up on a guy that could really help them this season and expected to probably help them this season, given the situation that again, McCarthy and Murray, I don't even think they're going to last the whole season. We'll see. Nobody on New England Patriots. They love Tommy DeVito out there. They're not giving him up. And obviously Drake May is their number one. How about the Saints? You got Tyler Shuck, Spencer Rattler, and there's Zach Wilson. Right? You got Zach Wilson, and then I don't know who Hunter Deckers is. Do they have another one after Deckers? No. All right, so you have Zach Wilson. Let's take a brief look at Zach Wilson. And again, I'm not saying that these guys are, the answer. I'm just saying these are the ones that I think that would possibly be traded for if, in fact, the Lions were willing to make a trade. Why? Again, I'm going to be like a broken record. No team is going to trade their second quarterback unless they feel that their third quarterback is better right now. And even then, you have to look at the teams, and I haven't had any time to do research, which ones keep 3, which ones keep 2. And so all the teams that keep 3 can probably forget about that. All right, Zach Wilson, we know he has a lot of experience in the league. Doesn't mean that it's been great. But 38 games played, 57 completion percentage, pretty low. That's right in the line with Caleb Williams last year, right? Caleb Williams is 54 to 58% last year. Just terrible. But they were still able to win games. 23 TDs to 25 interceptions. That shows me the biggest problem with Zach Wilson. Decision making. But I would say out of all the quarterbacks on that roster, he would be the only one that would likely be traded for. I doubt they'd move off of Spencer Rattler. All right, let's go to the Giants. You got Jackson Dart. We got Jameis Winston. And then Brandon Allen. I wouldn't mind Jameis Winston, but I feel like his personality, I don't know. He's wild. But damn, can he play some football. When they ask him to play some football, man, he can play the game. All right, let's get into the Jets because there's another real opportunity here. potentially. No, maybe not. I'm sorry. They got Cade Klubnik, Brady Cook, and Bailey Zapp. Hold on. Yeah, I guess there is an opportunity. Bailey Zapp has been in the league now for 4 years. Brady Cook's been in the league for 2 years. Cade Klubnik is a rookie. So Bailey Zapp and Brady Cook, both of those guys, I can already see the fans melt down if they hear either one of those names. I don't think Cook has had near as much of an opportunity to do a whole lot. All right, let's move on. Eagles. Jalen Hurts, Tanner McKee. Ooh, we got Andy Dalton. There we go. What about Andy Dalton? I mean, he's definitely washed up. But can he be that, the guy that Jared Goff needs in his ear? The answer is yes. When you look at Teddy Bridgewater, do you guys really think that they brought Teddy Bridgewater in to go win us football games? I would like to think so. I would like to think that they thought that Teddy B could win some football games. I questioned this move from the very beginning. I just never felt like Teddy B's heart was in the NFL because, he left, he was a coach, and then he kind of teeter-tottered around and just never finished playing football and just left football. He just kind of came back and forth. And I questioned it. So, and now it's kind of biting us in the face. All right, how about the Steelers? Who do they have? They have Aaron Rodgers, Mason Rudolph, Will Howard, and who's their fourth? Drew Aller. Howard has 2 years of experience at Ohio State, from Ohio State. Mason Rudolph would be interesting, but again, I highly doubt that they're going to let this guy go. All right, Seahawks. Sam Darnold, Drew Lock, Jalen Milroe. Yeah, I don't see anybody leaving the Seahawks. 49ers, Brock Purdy, Mac Jones, Adrian Martinez. Who's that other guy? Curtis Rourke? I've never even heard of him. I mean, Mac Jones wouldn't be a terrible move at, their second quarterback, but again, I highly doubt that they're going to let him go. Tampa Bay, you got Baker Mayfield, Jake Browning. Jake Browning would be a good pickup. Connor, don't know, Bazelak, and Jalen Daniels. So there's really nobody at the Bucs facility other than Jake Browning. All right, how about for Tennessee? You got Cam Ward, you got Will Levis, Mitchell Trubisky. Mitchell Trubisky's still playing football. And you got Hendon Hooker. So I hate to say it, but Hendon Hooker is a possibility to come back, y'all. And then Will Levis. I mean, if Will Levis ends up in Detroit, I think the first thing I'm going to do is send the guy a gallon of milk. All right, Washington Commanders. I would love to see Marcus Mariota in a Detroit Lions uniform. They also have Jaden Daniels as their number one, and Sam Hartman. And then Alan Kaliakmanis. I butchered that name, I'm sure. Marcus Mariota would be a perfect backup quarterback. The dude can still play, can still win games, and that's it. Those are the only quarterbacks that are even worth it to go after, in my opinion. Marcus Mariota would be great. Jake Browning would be okay. And then you only have 5 guys that are free agents right now. So I guess let me know what you guys think. Now that we've gone through all that, who the hell is coming to Detroit to rescue this team in this situation. I'm just going to say it, man. For as many good decisions as Brad Holmes makes and Dan Campbell, I mean, both those guys, they make tremendous decisions most of the time. I feel like I got a lag on my video. This backup quarterback position has been atrocious. And for a while there, it was kicker. Like we couldn't get a kicker. We couldn't keep a kicker. I mean, I think we had 9 kickers in 2023. There's something crazy. I mean, it was like a revolving door. Why is it that they can't get these two positions stable? Now we have Jake Bates, of course. He's been pretty stable. But why not the backup quarterback? Like, what? I get it. They tried. Like, they made the right decision on trying to pick up a quarterback in 2023 when they grabbed Hendon Hooker. It was the right decision, right? They got 4 phenomenal football players. They needed a backup. They took the next best one that happened to, suffer an injury, came from a wild Tennessee offense. It was not pro style whatsoever, and it was developmental, right? I mean, you can't expect every player to hit, and you didn't need a quarterback. I mean, to change, to take over for Jared Goff, I guess is what I'm saying. You didn't need a quarterback. That was never on their roster, if you will, of getting rid of Jared Goff. He was performing at a high level. There's no way that they were going to draft a quarterback to replace Jared Goff then. Next year, I think that's the draft that you're probably looking at the Lions to possibly bring in a quarterback to groom behind Jared Goff. Goff may play out the rest of his contract, and then you're going to have to do something money-wise with all these contracts that they're signing massive deals with all these players. You're going to have to do something because it's going to become unattainable at some point. So I think next year you're absolutely going to have to draft one quarterback early, top 3 rounds, and you're probably going to bring in a couple more UDFAs or maybe even draft one even later in the rounds, depending on how this draft works out this year. This roster's at a point where even if you have 7 draft picks every year, you might only have 4 that make the roster every season because this roster is so talented and the depth behind it is so talented. There's really not that many spots on this roster this season to cover all the draft picks. I don't even know how they're going to make it happen. Unfortunately, getting drafted by the Lions now, it was a great thing for a couple years while we were winning, and these players obviously wanted to come and play, here in Detroit or for the Lions. But now it's like, damn, if I get drafted to the Lions in the 5th, 6th, 7th round, I may not make the team because it's so good. It's a great position to be in, but man, is it a double-edged sword? It is a double-edged sword for Brad. But where I was going with that whole thing was, it has just been a nightmare, it seems like, to have a good quality backup quarterback in Detroit. And I don't think that Jared Goff is insecure. So even if you had a really good backup that is pushing Goff, that's a good thing. Goff's always going to be the starter. There ain't no way that you're going to bring in a quarterback right now that is going to replace Goff unless Goff goes and shits the bed and has a terrible year, and then the next year following that gets off to a bad start. Yeah, then you'd probably look for some sort of a change. I don't see that happening. Goff's body would probably have to give out first, and he would have to have some terrible seasons back to back before the Lions move away from Jared Goff. Right, wrong, or indifferent. I mean, he's here to stay. He's done a tremendous job so far. David Kadlek says, need a pocket passer, play action quarterback, whoever it is. Yeah, I think you're right, man. I think you're right. You want to have someone that fits the system. Jomo Lion King says, Jordan Tamu or Matt Corral. Is Matt Corral even playing? I don't even know who Tamu is. Sam Howell, when he gets cut. Yeah, we need someone before that. Look, I think Altmaier is going to work out. I absolutely think Altmaier is going to work out. And as I mentioned again a couple weeks ago, I had Altmaier making the roster. When I went through my 53, I have it right here. When I went through my 53, I think I ended up cutting Altmaier, and what my statement was I believed that the Lions could possibly move Teddy B to the practice squad because he's a vet and you don't lose Altmaier. So you put him down to the practice squad where he's willing to stay as a vet, and then you keep Altmaier so no other team can, snake him on waivers. And now that took care of itself. I thought that Teddy B was going to become a coach and possibly hang it up this year and become a coach for the Lions. And that's kind of taken care of itself, but we just don't know if he's going to stay. Again, I totally missed it, and I apologize I didn't jump in and do anything. I didn't even know Teddy B was away from the team. I don't know how long he was away from the team, but I should probably find out real quick. Not that it matters, because it's over now. He missed 2 days of practice. So he missed Friday and Saturday. He sat out Thursday and Friday. Saturday was the off day. And then it was announced today. I totally missed that. Totally missed it. I mean, obviously, we saw Dan Campbell during the press conference that this is, it's painful for him because he has a good relationship with Teddy, man. And I like that part of Dan. Like, I'm glad that he's an emotional coach. I'm glad that he has these connections with these players because I think that's what matters most when you're building a team, when you're building a roster that is trying to, all be run the same way. I'm going to do a quick search here and see if I can't find anything else. Give me 1 sec. I'm going to rest my voice for 30 seconds. We'll be right back.
Throwing middle, caught inside the 5. Jahmyr Gibbs to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. 14 yards on the strike. Goff to Gibbs. You can't cover that man one-on-one. You just can't do it.
Nice job.
Jared takes the snap back, looking, throwing middle. Got Amon-Ra inside the 2, to the 1, to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. Amon-Ra, St. Brown. Amon-Ra, St. Brown.
Nice job.
Mariota's got it back. Pressure comes. He's hit. Slips out of it. Rolling to his right. Now he's going down. Brian Branch got him. Sack for the Lions. Snap taken by Mariota. Wants to throw it. Gonna get hit. Gonna get sacked.
Yes,
Take it down. Brian Branch got him second time today.
Nice job.
In his third season from Alabama, number 0, Jahmyr Gibbs.
All right. I'm not finding a whole lot. I've asked Google to try to see if they can find a different list. And so far, nothing has really shown it to be different. But we'll see what it says here in a second. I'm going to go to over the cap real quick. Sometimes they have different lists, but quite honestly, they're typically always the same. Oh. Let's see. Anyway, now that we're pretty much going to be done with this talk here on Teddy B in the backup situation until we can get a better, more defined list of who's actually available. There's a couple other names that just popped up. Is Joshua Dobbs available? I didn't see him on any of the rosters. There's definitely a Petsing connection there, right? Didn't he play with the Cardinals in like 22 or 23? Let's find out. Oh, that's on the wrong one. Yeah. He played with the Cardinals in 2023. He started 8 games or played in 8 games. That could be the player that they're going to go after. If I didn't see him on a roster. $27 games overall, 351 of 599, 62.8 completion percentage. I mean, that's damn good. I mean, for being a career backup. 17 TDs to 15 interceptions is not great. He's only been sacked 38 times in his whole career. He has a decent arm. We know that. Ha! Look at that. 5 minutes ago. Patriots just released Dobbs. No, it said 5M. It must have been, what does 5M mean? Because that was not 5 minutes ago. Look at that. It says 5M. It's definitely not 5 million views. March 23, 2026. Patriots released Josh Dobbs on Monday. Serves quarterback Drake May. His base was 3.2, so that's probably what he's looking for. I would say Joshua Dobbs could be the front runner right now. All right, here's the list that this Google thing just gave me. Jimmy G, Josh Dobbs is on there. Ryan Tannehill. What about Ryan Tannehill? Is he still available? Brett Ripien, Desmond Ridder, Brian Hoyer. Brian Hoyer wouldn't be bad. And not because of the connection to college, but man, he's old. I doubt he's even playing anymore. He's old. He's probably not even playing. There's Tim Boyle. Didn't Tim Boyle finally retire too? So he's definitely not coming back, and I'm good on that anyway. Like I'm good on some of the old quarterbacks that we've had, but I would say that with Joshua Dobbs, probably would jump to the top of my list right now just because of the Petsing connection. Like you need someone that understands your system, right? And he's putting the same or similar system in Detroit right now that he's been running in Arizona. Obviously, it's a little bit different because of the type of players that the Lions have. And Petsing was also, hold on. He played in Cleveland. Didn't I just see Cleveland on his resume? Let me look it up again. Wasn't even Cleveland. Could have sworn Dobbs was in Cleveland. Yep, here it is. So I found it on Wiki. Right here. He was in Cleveland in 2023, right? And then he went to Arizona. So probably after Cleveland got rid of him, he went to Arizona. So not only did Drew Petzing, and that might have been 2022, honestly, not only did Drew Petzing coach him in Arizona, but Petzing was also in Cleveland the year before that. So he has relationship and working experience with Drew Petzing. Why does it stop at the 16th season? Dobbs resigned to the Browns March 23, 2023. Let's see what this says. During the 2023 season, on August 24, Dobbs was traded to Arizona along with a 7th-round pick in the 24 draft in exchange for a 5th-round pick. He entered the 23 season as a starting quarterback for the Cardinals as Kyler Murray started the season on IR. And then on September 24, Dobbs led the Cardinals to their first win of the season in an upset over the Cowboys. Cowboys at the time were undefeated, 2-0. That would be the only win with Dobbs as a starter going 1-7. It's terrible. That's terrible. Yes, he was with the Lions. I knew he was with the Lions. Practice squad. So there's history there too. And he was in Cleveland in 22. Again, not my first choice, but I think what you're looking for out of a backup quarterback has to meet a couple of things. Number one, do you have history with the OC? Number two, do you have history with the head coach? Either one of those two things, I think, checks the main box. Number three, do they understand your scheme? Especially if they've been with your offensive coordinator before, the likelihood of you understanding the language and what you're trying to do is great. Are you a vet? Because Dan clearly said they wanted a vet, and that would be more than 4 years in the league. And I think probably the most important thing, can he still play? And could Joshua Dobbs, catch lightning in a bottle with the Lions? Yeah, he probably could. I mean, shit, you got 5-6 legit weapons on this offense at any given play on any given personnel group. And so, I mean, any quarterback should be able to be fairly successful with this team. He's just got to get the ball to him. You can't just hand the ball off every single time. But even then, you're handing the ball off to Pacheco and Gibbs, and I mean that's a third of your offense right there, just between those two guys. Ground yards and air yards. So, and I'm not saying I like the option. I'm just saying it makes more sense right now. Realistically, it makes sense. Yeah, vet by tomorrow, Sunburst. Yeah, to clarify, Dan said he wants to sign a vet by tomorrow. Look, at the end of the day, Jared Goff, the other JG, he just can't be out. All right, since y'all stayed in this long, those of you that are still in, I wanted to go through a Sam Laporta workup that I did, and now speaking, explicitly about what Sam Laporta meets to Drew Petzing. So why don't I do that now? It won't take too long, maybe 8 minutes or so, and then I'm going to get out of here for the day because I got other things that I was working on, and so this, I guess, will be my dry run, just to see if I got all this stuff working, trying to work on all these automations. So let me reset. I'll be right back.
Middle caught inside the 5. Jahmyr Gibbs to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. 14 yards on the strike. Goff to Gibbs. You can't cover that man one-on-one. You just can't do it.
Nice job.
Jared takes the snap back, looking, throwing middle. Got Amon-Ra inside the 2, to the 1, to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. Amon-Ra, safe.
Oh, poop.
In his third season from Alabama, number 0, Jahmyr Gibbs.
That wasn't supposed to happen either.
Throwing middle, caught inside the 5. Jahmyr Gibbs to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. 14 yards on the strike. Goff to Gibbs. You can't cover that man one-on-one. You just can't do it.
Nice job.
Jared takes the snap back, looking, throwing middle. Got Amon-Ra inside the 2, to the 1, to the end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. Amon-Ra, St. Brown. Amon-Ra, St. Brown.
Nice job.
All right. I want to go through Sam Laporta's Petzing. Well, the meaning to Sam Laporta in Drew Petzing's offense. So it kind of goes like this, man. I've done some research. I've done a lot of research into Petzing. I went through some film yesterday for quite a while, and I kind of broke down what Trey McBride was all about, and you know what Drew Petzing and having good quality tight ends means, but also what I think one of the most important thing is how this all works together this season to try to fix some of the things that the Lions were bad at last year. Now, before I give it all away, the most important thing that I think hurt the Lions last year was third down and third down efficiency and just not able to continue flipping the chains. And so now that you bring in a guy like Drew Petzing that I think is going to be just as good, if not better, than Ben Johnson, and you have a healthy Sam Laporta back, things start to change. Okay? So let's get into it. Let's get into it. All right, so what if I told you that the Lions would be the number 1 offense in 2026 under Drew Petzing, but that required a very big rebound season for Sam Laporta? Would you even think that it's possible? You already know that Petzing turned McBride into an absolute monster, a record-setting tight end in 2025, and then headed to Detroit, where he gained more playmakers like St. Brown, Jamo, Gibbs, Tesla, and then he also brought Greg Dortch with him. For Petzing to fix the Lions' biggest issues on offense, I don't think that any are as big than what Sam Laporta means to fixing that third down call sheet. So today, I'm going to break down what it means for Petzing, and how he used McBride and why those same concepts fit Laporta in 2026. How Petzing's scheme can help Jared Goff on third down and why. Laporta is the key to unlocking it all. So you know what time it is. Let's get into it. All right, I think first I want to start with a third down problem. And when I went through some of this yesterday, what I noticed is that when Sam Laporta was off the field after week 10 last season, the numbers changed big time. Detroit still produced one of the NFL's best offenses in 2025. That's not a secret. It's a fact. But the Lions were not nearly as efficient at keeping drives alive. And you and I and the wall know the only way to win football games is to keep your offense on the field and your defense off the field. In 2024, the Lions converted 47.6% of their third down opportunities. And last season, that dropped all the way to 38.6%. That's an 8.8 percentage point drop from 98 conversions on 206 attempts to only 83 on even more attempts at 214. And so I'm going to show you a few things here on the screen that will kind of help guide us through some of this too. So on third down, obviously it shows in 24 the 47.6 to the 38.8 in 2025. 8.8 percentage points is a big time drop. You know, when you start breaking down how Petzing used McBride last season, or last 3 seasons, honestly, you had all the short routes, 11, 12, and 13 personnel groupings. You had the corner routes, right? The run game conflicts, all the things that a great tight end is good at. And you start to see exactly where Sam Laporta starts to fit and how the math begins to change when he's healthy, especially when the offense consists of players like Goff and J-Mo and St. Brown and Dortch and Tesla and Sam Laporta. And so if the firepower wasn't the Lions' problem last season, then I think it really starts to beg the question, what was, for an offense struggling on third down? And for me, that came down to creating easy answers when the defense knew the Lions had to move the chains. And instead, what we noticed was more complication by Johnny Morton and Dan Campbell at times. Both of them struggled to call the right plays or to even find extra man protections to help the line. An offensive line that was struggling through injury. And once Laporta went down, defenses made the offense pay. They devoted extra attention to the other players on the field. And they did this by bracketing St. Brown or J-Mo. They would jam J-Mo over the middle, or they would jam him at the line of scrimmage. And it's, again, not a secret. We've heard it from J-Mo. We've heard it from multiple coaches for the Lions that was bumping him off of his landmarks. And then you had the poor mixture of play calling. The loss of a true pass-catching tight end that made this offense too predictable. That's what Petzing's hire, and that's why Petzing's hire is so important. We can start with his work with Trey McBride, or how Arizona dealt with injuries all over that offense too. Defenses knew that Trey McBride was the primary threat. I mean, he was the only guy that they really had left. Forget about it, Harrison. And they still couldn't take him away. Petzing's play calling style is exactly what this offense needed. The question is how, right? How are they going to do it? How did they do it in Arizona? And what's going to change in Detroit? A true pass-catching tight end that McBride was and Laporta is, it really starts to force defenses to choose and make bad decisions, right? You want to squeeze the receivers? Fine, right? McBride gets the matchup. Okay, you want to take McBride away or try. Same thing for Laporta. You want to try to take him away? Fine. Petzing will dial up more option for whoever else is left on the field, and that's exactly what he did. And that was the conflict. Petzing kept creating. And Petzing kept calling, plays that, that found McBride open. Under Drew Petzing last year, Trey McBride in 2023 had 81 catches for 825 yards. And then in 2024, a hell of a first season, right? And then in 2024, that jumped all the way to 111 catches for 1146. And then last season, McBride exploded for 126 receptions, 1,239 yards, and 11 touchdowns. He set an NFL single-season reception record for a tight end. And I think that's the interesting part, right? How Petzing was able to continue creating those mismatches. McBride was not living, 15 or 20 yards downfield. Matter of fact, it was something totally different. And again, this is where you notice the intelligence of Drew Petzing and how he used McBride with an ADOT of 7 yards. 72% of his targets came within 9 yards of the line of scrimmage. Petzing, consistently created high percentage throws, high value throws to Trey McBride. The crossers, the quick outs, the hooks against the zone, you name it. Those routes were all coming off of play action, or the majority of all those routes were coming off of play action, exactly what Jared Goff has been doing in Detroit for years. He got McBride into space. He gave the quarterback an easy read, and then he let the tight end create after the catch. But what happened once defenses, started to drive on those short routes and they started to drive on McBride? The exact opposite. Petzing began creating conflict for Michael Wilson, right? Who? I heard you all just say, who? Who's Michael Wilson? Well, Wilson was drafted in the third round of the 2023 draft out of Stanford. And in his first 2 seasons with the team, he tallied just over 1,100 yards and 7 touchdowns. And then in 2025, Wilson, being like the 6th option on the team with all the other players injured, had a breakout. He had 1,006 receiving yards and 7 touchdowns, nearly matching his production for his first 2 seasons combined. And I think that just proves, again, that Petzing is in another league schematically. We start to talk about, the best option, for Trey McBride, or what will be the best options for Sam Laporta. And even when defenses continue to drive on McBride, like I said earlier, Petzing had McBride take 10 passes for 164 yards and 3 touchdowns on a corner route last season. A corner route, y'all. It's one of the lowest percentage throws to a tight end used as a weapon by Petzing. Petzing would attack underneath until the linebacker or the safety started to cheat downhill. And then that is when you take that same defender, you make them flip and turn and run upfield and outside with a tight end, creating a mismatch and manipulating the coverage. Because that's what Petzing did. He manipulated it. Laporta already has this skill set, right? He's been doing this. He can do the exact same. And before the back injury that ended Laporta's season last year, I think we could take a look at just exactly what he did, right, on screen. And I think this is going to shock some people because Sam Laporta last season was having nearly a similar season to what he had as a rookie. It didn't seem like it, but he was. 40 catches, 45 targets, 489 yards, 3 TDs, 0 drops. If you don't understand how important 88.9% catch rate is, like, it's on another level. You just don't see that in the league today. Not in this format, not in many offenses, not many tight ends, hardly any receivers are ever going to have that kind of a catch rate. Laporta can also create after the catch. He averaged 6.8 yards after the catch per reception. McBride averaged just 4.6. Look, I'm not saying that Laporta, that this makes Laporta better than McBride, but I think that what it tells you is that Laporta already fits the type of football that Petzing wants to play, right? It gives him an accurate football, player underneath, or a better target, a more accurate target underneath, and then you let him secure it, you let him turn up field, and you make somebody tackle him. That becomes especially important on third down. But just looking at what Sam Laporta has already been able to do, the fact that he's averaging more than 2 yards per catch more than McBride was, I mean, that should get you a little bit excited about moving the chains. 23 of Laporta's 40 catches last season produced first downs. And in 2024, 39 of his 60 catches moved the chains. That is the player that I want involved on 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6. You name it, you get the point. It is efficient football at its finest. 3rd and manageable will no longer be a problem. You no longer need Goff waiting for a longer route to develop, hoping that the offensive line is going to hold. Right? Now you're getting rid of that ball 2.5, 2.6, 2.7 seconds. Not 3, not 3 1/4. You don't need it. You don't need to wait all day. When Sam Laporta is healthy, which he is now, this is where he would have finished last season His 9-game production last season was projecting to nearly match his rookie campaign. Roughly 76 catches, 924 yards, and 6 touchdowns over 17 games is what Sam Laporta would have or could have had he played all season. But now comes the final drive. How does any of what I'm saying fix third down? How does this fix the biggest issue for the Lions? And I think you need to start with Arizona using a lot of multiple tight end personnel. This is the part of Petzine's offense that I poured over the most, right? The heavy personnel packages, how they create conflicts. And when it's combined with speedsters like Gibbs and JMO and the elite tight ends like Sam Laporta, it's devastating to defenses. In 2025, the Cardinals ran more than 100 snaps with at least 3 tight ends on the field. That personnel was also tied to the league's most efficient run game in 2023 and 2024, Arizona. In 24, Arizona ran for 2,451 yards and averaged 5.3 yards per carry. That 5.3 average was a Cardinals franchise record. It wasn't done before, clearly. But under Drew Petzing, that dynamic changed for their offense moving forward. So now you're bringing all this philosophy of Drew Petzing and what he's been doing in Arizona to Detroit. You put Gibbs in the backfield. You put Laporta attached to the formation. And add Brock Wright or Conklin or Meeks, whoever you want, as the third tight end. What does the defense do? Stay in nickel? Good. Do it. We're going to go run Gibbs at a lighter box. You want to bring in another linebacker. You want to get heavy. Stay heavy. Right? You bring another linebacker onto the field to try to stop Gibbs. Fine. Now we're going to detach Laporta, and we're going to make that linebacker cover him. And we're going to throw him a corner route, by the way, to the end zone. Gibbs now has a free shot with either a counter or an inside zone run play. And if you roll him out into the slot pre-snap, oh boy, did things start to get really fun then. Well, let's just say that the defense, brings in a safety, right? And that safety starts to cheat downhill to help against Gibbs. Well, now JMO has more room on a deep crosser or a vertical route, trapping that safety underneath and getting vertical on him, getting above him. Okay, so if that doesn't work, then the defense needs to, to widen, right? They need to deal with Laporta and St. Brown now. And so now Gibbs has space on an inside zone gap or a power. This is why I call Laporta the wild card. His presence on the field in every season so far can become so many combinations. It allows Petzing or any offensive coordinator to change the picture without changing the personnel. And all the plays start to look the same from the start. Run and pass need to be married up. They need to look the same. For third down to be successful this season, Petzing does not need to get all the way back into the high 40% completion percentage range immediately. Let's just say that Petzing gets this offense to 43%. Use last season's 214 third down attempts as the example. That comes out to roughly 92 conversions. Detroit had 83 last year. What would have or what could have 9 additional first downs have done for this team last year? Could the Lions have won one more game? Probably. Could they have won 2 more games and won the NFC North again? Most likely. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but I'm telling you right now that the more third down conversions that you have, and 9 more means possessing the football to stay alive, right? It means more touches for Gibbs. It means more chances for Jamison Williams to attack downfield. It means more opportunities for Amon-Ra St. Brown underneath. More red zone possessions. And more chances for Jared Goff to finish drives. That is the difference between having an explosive array of weapons and then consistently giving those weapons enough possessions to take over games. When the Lions are doing their thing, man, they are staying alive down to down. One big reason I like this fit with Petzing is because he is not trying to erase what the team does well. Petzing is blending his concepts with the offense that Goff and this veteran group has been running already, and one that they understand. He mentioned it in the other day's press conference. And then you add Petzing's tight end movement, the pre-snap movement, the post-snap stuff, everything that they do to throw defenses off, the heavy personnel, right? The shifts, I mean, you name it, the corner routes, the things that other teams don't do, it all adds up to formations that make defenses make mistakes. You put them in conflict, you create the chaos, they make bad decisions. And that puts Goff at the line of scrimmage with more answers, the same answers that Dan Campbell and Johnny Morton couldn't provide last season. Petzing's job is building an offense that stays on the field long enough to use all of it. And if Laporta stays healthy, I believe that he becomes the key to unlocking it all.